Jane and
Elizabeth Eleanor. How you going, everyone? It's so
happy
lovely.
Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday. I had a really good weekend. What about you, Nicolette?
Yeah, I did actually. I had a fabulous weekend. It was beautiful weather here in Toowoomba, and I feel so lucky that um, we're not in Brisbane and not in that lockdown catchment.
Yeah,
So touch wood so far.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy times, right?
Mm.
So, lovely to be able to share with everyone again. We're going live into Women of Light Movement Facebook group and Soul Friends, which is Nicolette's Facebook group. So, and we've got a couple of people watching already, and we're going to talk about spirit guides.
Yay!
So, I'm going to let you start. Let's go for it.
Okay. So my journey with spirit guides is probably a lot more recent than Elizabeth's, because I've really only been doing this work for about 6 or 7 years, as opposed to Elizabeth's how many?
20 odd.
20 odd.
Yeah.
So she's like my big sister in this.
Yeah, but it's been a long freaking journey, I tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I've had I guess how I dropped into it was I started meditating and I started connecting outside of myself and connecting in with messages. I had a couple of mentors that suggested to tune into spirit guides. And so over the time, the most influential ones have been in my ancestral line. So my grandmother on my father's side, she's been with me through a lot, and I've tuned into her a lot, and I still do. I've had animal spirit guides. I've never really, I know that there's angels and there's all of those, but that's never really been something that has come through for me. And usually when I connect deeply with another person, I end up connecting with their guides as well. So that's, it's been got some crazy stories, but.
And so, good morning, Helen. Lovely to have you on here. If you're on here, I can see we've got a few people on. So if you put into the chat that you're on here, that would be awesome, and where you're watching from, and if you had a good weekend, and if you want to ask any questions. So, when you say, I forgot what the question was that I was going to ask you. You know, you said you tap into other people's spirit guides. Do you channel that? It's more of a knowing and you get messages, or how does it work?
So for me, it's a conversation that I have in my head with them. So, or they might come to me in my dreams, and then the following day I will ask questions about what happened in the dream in my head. So say I'm talking to Grandma, I'll say, Grandma, what do you think about this? Or am I on the right track here? Or am I doing the right thing? Or can you give me a sign today or some guidance? And whatever thought pops into my head directly after that, I take as being that guide's guidance, I guess.
Yeah. And so, just for like the beginners, what is your understanding of spirit guides?
My understanding of spirit guides is energies on the other side, or energies not in this physical realm, in the, what do you call it, the etheric realm, that are made known to us for our assistance in this life, if we're willing to tap in and ask for assistance and ask for guidance. The guides that are supposed to help us through that period of time in our lives will show up. That's my understanding of it.
Absolutely. We've got a few people saying hello and good morning. It's really interesting that we're even talking about this topic because I have a confession.
You don't believe in spirit guides?
No, I do. I do very much believe in spirit guides because I've been guided. You know, as you know, my journey's been a pretty crazy one.
Yeah.
And I've had some really wild experiences like you, or maybe we can share a story each or something. You know, definitely feel like I've been guided a lot, but I tend to not rely on them, or not even rely on them. Well, I don't rely on them, but I'll talk about that in a bit. I tend to forget that they're there, and I tend to go directly, you know, like intuitively with my own higher source or superconscious or intuition or whatever.
Divine, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and so when we decided to do this, because I've had some, you know, crazy experiences, you know, like my dad, for example, is one of my guides. He died when I was 15 and he's been a guide ever since. And I used to check in with him on a regular basis. When I moved down to Sydney, he came to me. I was driving. I remember specifically being at the set of lights, stopped, and it must have been just as I was about to hit Sydney itself. And he came to me, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing here? You know, I didn't call on you. And he said, you know, I'm here because this is going to be big and it's going to be challenging for you. And I'm just letting you know I'm here. And he was so right. But I also have a girlfriend that I know who passed, and I helped her transition. And I know that she's one of my guides as well. And then there's another one that I found out about outside of myself through an angel card reader, the lady that we both know, Lou Bell.
Lou Bell,
and she said one of my guides is we've been in many lives together in France. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't even know of him. And so I most probably been talking to him and not even asking his name or any of those sort of things. But I tend to like, so my understanding of guides is, you know, they are there, like you said, to support you through this journey of being in a physical body. And then you've got those realms. You've got, you know, the spirit guides that are there, decided to be, you know, your partner in crime sort of thing. And you've got your angels, and then you've got your you know, archangels and masters and stuff like that, you know, as you go through the realms. And so, you know, they're different levels as far as I'm aware. The feeling of them is that they're different levels, and that they guide you in different ways. But you've got to ask questions, right?
Can we go back to what you said about forgetting that they're there and tuning in? I feel the same way, but only more in like the recent, like last couple of years. And I think that the journey with my guides has been, I've depended on them more when I haven't trusted myself. And whenever and this is what I teach my clients as well, if you get a message from a guide and you're not sure about it, just check in with, just go straight to source and check in and double check the message. But the other way that I use guides in my work is that when I'm doing a healing with someone, I'll often call in their guides to help, because
healing,
it amplifies the energy and it brings in and I usually go into their guides first, and we do processes around that to release things and let go of things, and then I'll bring their higher self in after the guides have helped me clear everything. So if they haven't done the right job, then the higher self won't actually align with it. Does that make sense? So that's how I use it in my work as well.
Yeah. And should we bring in a little bit of the aspect, one of the things that in the work that I've done, and I know you have done, is that people can give their power away,
Yes.
and they can give their power away to physical people here on the planet, and they can give their power away to their guides,
And they can become a puppet.
and they become a puppet. Yeah. And so and that was a big thing. Like as I've said before, there's this spiritual evolution that I've been watching myself, from that was one of the things. People were constantly, here's my guide and he's next to me and he says, no, I shouldn't have that chocolate. There were so many people that were asking all these ridiculous questions
Yeah.
to the guides instead of just making a decision and taking it themselves, like seriously.
Because they're not trusting themselves and their own intuition.
Yeah.
I think that guides are here to help support our own decision making, not make it for us, and that's the mistake that some people make.
Yeah, and I also feel that that the guides that are giving that information out the way they are actually not guides.
No, they're entities, or
they're trickery. They're there to play games.
Mischievous.
Yeah. And they're from the astral plane, and the astral plane is not a nice place. It's full of havoc, and people say, "Oh, I was astral traveling." I'm like, "Yeah, be careful in that area." It's
would you say that it's like limbo, like the spirits are stuck in limbo there, and they're trying to either get out of it or live vicariously through
other people?
Yeah.
And so what would give us a story that you've had with a guide.
Okay. My favorite guide story is I was meditating one day and I had this guide come to me, and at that stage I always asked what their name was. These days, like you, I'm like,
whatever.
Doesn't really matter.
Information,
But I got this
with love.
yeah, that's right. And I got the name Clarence, and I went, "Oh, that's funny. Mum had a cat called Clarence when I was really little. Was that you?" And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. This guide's been with me, been like beside me as an animal in this life, and all that sort of stuff is bringing me messages now." And I remember one day the message that I got was, "Why do you keep imagining me as a cat?" Right, because that's what you said, you were, and then I got the message back that Clarence was actually an animal spirit guide in the form of an elephant. And I went, that makes sense. I love elephants. I've always surrounded myself with elephants. And so it was just this really weird. And I said to Andrew, this is a funny conversations I had with my partner. I said, "How do I paint this? Like, do I paint like a half cat, half elephant?" And he came up with the idea, and I still haven't done it, of painting an elephant with a cat weaving around its legs.
Oh, great idea. Yeah.
So that's an animal spirit guide story that was like, "Oh, that's random. I haven't heard that name for, 15, 20, 25 years or something."
Yeah.
Funny that it would pop into. So, yeah. And I think that was at a period of time where I needed to connect with that part of my life.
Yeah.
To release some stuff that happened in my childhood when that cat was around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I just ask anyone that's watching if they've got a story that they want to share or any questions about spirit guides. And if you're watching the replay, put in #replay and just tag Nicolette and I, and we can answer any questions as well. But I'm just listening to your story and thinking, what stories have I got? Because I've had some funny things, but like this one was an alien when I was looking at, I feel like I couldn't cook and I didn't know what to cook for the kids and I wanted to cook something different. And I'd been thinking that I can't cook. And then I started cooking this thing and I was putting all this stuff in and like I was halfway through when I thought, I wouldn't have thought of this. And then I'm like, okay, I'm getting information from outside of myself, and then realized I was getting it from an alien. Another time, my brother Bradley, who died as a stillborn before me, so we were right in the womb. Like I think there was still energy. There's been energy between him and I. Isn't that funny? He just came in. I haven't thought of him or spoken to him in ages. He just came in as we speak.
Yep.
Funny that.
Can you just explain how you know he came in? Big for people who are like, what do you mean he came in?
Okay. So I felt things shift in my energy field, and I felt presence down my spine, like he's at the back of me.
Yep.
So it's sort of like you feel different. If you're not used to feeling energy, all of a sudden you feel different, and there's a knowing. So
and it could show up as tingles or
a lot of people feel tingles in their arms. I know that if I talk to my dad, he's sort of here, like, so they can be at different places.
Yeah.
And different vibrations. So you know that they're different energies from their different, like the more you start believing in it or understanding and listening to your own intuition, the more you'll get, the fine tuning. So
I find that my heart space usually expands as well. That's an indicator for me. When it's especially when it's a guide of support, or someone that I've been really close to, or anyway, I interrupted you. You were going on a story.
I just remember this time. It was near the very start of when I was waking up, spiritually, and I was still misbehaving a bit. So I got, had some stuff that I shouldn't have had, and then the night before, and I woke up the next morning, and I'm laying in bed feeling like, I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm a single mom. It was really hard in those days. It was really hard, dealing with a lot of stuff anyway. And I was laying in bed, and out of the blue, out of this void, it was the weirdest experience, one of the weirdest experiences at that time. But this man just came striving up, like really strongly, and just went belt and smacked me in the face. And it was like I literally physically pulled back, oh my gosh, what happened then? Like, who was that? And what was that? And it was like, and I realized after it was Bradley, who had grown spiritually. So he was showing himself as a 20-year-old man or something, maybe older. And it was like, he was like, can you get on with it and stop, like, he was like showing me,
stop stuffing around.
Yeah. This is your time to wake up. And and it was such a bit, it was like a smack in the face. And I did. I remember that really vividly. I woke up, stayed awake, didn't go into the craziness anymore, and really stepped into it from that moment.
Yeah.
But after that, it was more archangels and masters that were coming to me. So it was like definitely Archangel Michael and Jesus were big for me, are still big for me if I tune into them.
And you've actually had channelings where they speak through you, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've witnessed that on my table. Actually, I've witnessed it happened at my last retreat with one of my clients. The energy was so strong that she started, and her voice completely changed, and everyone was like in a circle around her, just listening to this wisdom from the other side, and all the other clients were looking at me like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah.
But I've never had that out of my own mouth.
Yeah, I used to channel. I'm part of a book that was published, or published about past lives. And I used to channel a woman called Aurora, or a being called Aurora, and that was the biggest channel because I would I'd leave myself. I'd go to the side, and it was really hard to get like my mouth to move to start with.
Yeah.
But then it would come through.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I just want to emphasize that all those things are, fun and they're good and
interesting,
interesting and stuff. I would like to emphasize that it's not necessary for your spiritual growth.
No.
And it's not necessary, it doesn't make anyone higher or lower or more advanced or blah, blah, blah than anyone else if they're doing that. And that ultimately what we're here to do is to bring all of our parts together so that we're in tune with our higher self, and that we're downloading and channeling our own higher wisdom, our own superconscious wisdom. And the guides are there to support us to do that.
Yes. Yeah. That word takeover kept coming into my mind as you were talking. Yeah. Not to take over. So, and that where you were talking, we were talking about the coming in and like taking over your voice box, and that actually can't happen unless you're willing for it to happen. Like I want to emphasize, because it sounds quite scary.
Yeah.
But and I wonder whether that's why it's never happened for me, because I've never set the intention for it to happen, and I don't really want it to happen.
Yeah.
So it hasn't.
It's not necessary, like
no.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them to talk to me in my head. They don't have to talk out of my voice box.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So one of the things that, just to finish off, because we were talking about spirit guides today, I decided this morning, instead of doing my normal meditation, I would do a connect into my spirit guide, just tuned in.
Yeah.
And one of the things, just as a, to give a little bit of activity or something that everyone can do, is to really tune in. And I actually thought I might even do something, do this meditation on Women of Light, to tune into the spirit guides, because it's such a beautiful meditation. And so you want to go through a path and go deeply within yourself, and then tune in. We haven't got much time, so it's really hard to say how to tune in with your spirit guides. But what I did this morning was I went through a path and into a big room, like a big temple, and then found a beautiful room where my guide was, and connected with him, and he put his hand on my forehead and he downloaded information. And in that, the first part of that is that before you go there, you want to actually set an intention of what it is you want to ask to start with.
Yeah.
Because you want to have an end result, right? You don't want to just go in, because it's the ego that wants to go in and just ask questions. You want to start with something very general, like what is from, what is for my highest and best, or something along those lines. Something.
Yeah, that's the wording that I usually use. What do I need to know? What do I need to know today to align me more with my highest and best?
Yeah.
Or what action do I need to take today?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you're actually using the information for creating momentum in your own life towards what you want, because they know at a soul level what we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and I wrote it down because it's really good to just write it down
and then journal.
Yeah.
Exactly, because that actually brings it into the physical.
Yeah,
as well.
Right. It manifests in it, and it's sort of like it's continuous. Then, like you get your brain, your ego, mind out of the way, and so you can allow whatever to come through. Like one of the first things the first sentence that came through, I laughed at because I had asked a serious question of how is the world going and what's my path in it, and the first sentence was, "You are young." Oh, thank you. I wouldn't have said that, but anyway, "You are young and you are safe," and it was saying that I need to move. And so
you know that, right?
I do know that, and I was putting
but it's good confirmation. It's great when they confirm
4 times in the paragraph.
It said you need to move
now. Need to move now. I'm like, oh bugger. That's a big thing right now.
Yep.
To do. So but 4 times came through. Yeah, we
that's massive. Well, I have on my podcast I have meditations to connect with your spirit guides as well. So I might I'll get my VA to find that and pop that in the comments. Do you have a recording of yours as well, or
no, not of that particular one? And I'm going to but I might do it as a meditation on my page, so well, group or whatever they call it. But yeah, if you could, do you mind putting the link in to
no worries. I'm actually in the process of setting dates for my upcoming events, so I don't have a date that I can give everybody for my next Meditate and Mingle, and so my Meditate and Mingle events are free. And my body and soul harmonization sessions are the paid session with a full chakra clearing. But with that podcast link, I'll put in, once I work it out today, I'll put in the dates for my upcoming events. And what have you got coming up?
That's a really good question.
You're about to say we're in it's the beginning of August. What are we doing now?
Yeah. So I know I'd have actually I have a meetup coming up, and Irene might be able to tell me when it is. There's a meetup coming up this month in for past lives. I'm talking about past lives, and I'll do a group past life regression.
You haven't done one of those for ages.
Yeah. So I'll do a regression.
Highly recommend Elizabeth's past life regressions. Everybody, do it.
And of course, I've got a Reconnecting with Your Inner Child half-day workshop as well.
Yeah.
And neither of them I know the dates to, so we'll put the links in.
And
I'll get Irene to put the links.
That's what we have assistants for, so they can tell us what we're doing. Yeah,
that's right. And this is a note to self to remember to find out before I jump on, right? So lovely to have everyone. August 19th for the meetup. She is so good. She's so good.
It's beautiful.
Irene's saying August 19th for the meetup. Thank you. And she'll most probably put the half day in here as well. So thank you, Nicolette. And
thank you, Elizabeth.
August 14th for Reconnecting with Your Inner Child. Thank you so much, Irene. Thank you. That was lovely.
Yeah, it's always fun to chat.
Yeah. And next week, will we talk about the humility and integrity?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, because it was something that I thought of ages ago, but it'd be nice to go there next week.
Let's do that.
Yeah, humility and integrity. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.